and I am going to be the moderator for this session.
Perfect.
And so it looks like you've got all of, you're able to access the screen. So I'm going to start configuring some of the settings really quickly. So give me just a moment.
That trend. And we are recording. I always find that when we've discussed dual enrollment, there's always a diverse kind of group there. Some that are totally engaged or innovating, all the way to those that are emerging. They're really not sure about what dual enrollment is. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was starting with the same context today. So dual enrollment, the way that we define it in ACCS, is where we have high school students taking college courses where they are both earning college credit and also working towards high school credit towards those high school graduation requirements. So Nick Moore mentioned, we are part of that pipeline. That dual enrollment is part of that pipeline. In ACCCP, we refer to on-ramp. So dual enrollment is a fabulous on-ramp there. And then also with Dr. Mackey, the changes in the graduation requirements that are coming up for high school. We are going to be part of that CCRI requirement, and I'm very excited about all the different populations that we're able to serve through dual enrollment. In ACCS, we also have an accelerated program, just to give you kind of some a little bit of vocabulary lesson. For us, accelerated is where it is still a high school student. They are taking a college course, but in that situation, they are only earning college credit. So kind of think of it as extracurriculars. They're not actually receiving high school credit for those. So we do have that option as well. And then also a lot of times the word concurrent and dual enrollment can be interchangeable across the nation. For us, concurrent enrollment is something very different. For us, that is typically where a student, well, and one example would be a student is enrolled at both one of our community colleges, for example, Southern Union and Auburn at the same time. And we also have an application there with adult learners. But overall, those benefits, students are saving time, students are saving money, whether it's through the dual enrollment scholarship or just by taking community college classes. It's efficient. I love that we're well, not literally, but we're killing two birds with one stone there. We're knocking out college credit and high school credit. And also we know that students, the benefits of taking dual enrollment continue on as students continue on that post-secondary pathway. So we have referred to the 24 colleges in the Alabama Community College system. And that is part of how we are making dual enrollment opportunities accessible in a variety of ways. So on the map to your left, you're going to see a depiction of those 24 colleges. The red dots indicate those main campuses, where also we have the gray dots, and those represent the satellite campuses. So you can see dual enrollment is offered all around the state. So you'll see there in that first bullet point, I'm mentioning 22. And the reason for that is that we have that exception of Ingram State. Ingram State serves our incarcerated population. And then also Marion Military Institute. They are also, of course, unique. And so dual enrollment is not offered there. Dual enrollment students can take courses in a variety of formats. It's very accessible. Some students are taking those college classes, those dual enrollment classes at the college. They're actually coming, they're walking onto campus, they're seeing the campus, just like our traditional students. Some are taking classes online. Some have the option of taking that college class without even leaving the high school campus. And so this makes that post-secondary opportunity available to students regardless of their location. We know that some Alabama counties are very remote, they're very rural, and they don't have a lot of access, but our community colleges are making it accessible. We also know that transportation is a big issue for a lot of students. And so again, just being there and offering those flexible models, that is huge to providing accessibility for these students. Before joining the Alabama Community College System, I did work with the CTE division at the Alabama State Department of Education. And in that role, it became very apparent to me that some of our K-12 systems lack a variety of CTE programs. And I know that that was a big concern by some of the board members about CCRIs being part of the requirement. But the beauty is by partnering with ACCS, those high schools in partnership with us are able to offer a much larger variety of CTE programs. And so I love helping bridge that gap for high school students and Alabama workforce needs. Our colleges are there and those remote communities. Remember that these are college courses and therefore those instructors are employees of the college. Okay, so however, we do have exceptional K-12 instructors. I mean, exceptional. And I love this part of dual enrollment because I think that's one of the part of the retention, teacher retention strategies is making sure we recognize and we empower those exceptional teachers. So what happens is some of our high school teachers meet the credentialing requirements for a college instructor. And so therefore we are able to use that high school instructor at the high school as an instructional site to teach these college courses for college credit through dual enrollment. Also, if that's not available, some of our colleges actually send one of our college instructors to the high school campus. And so that eliminates that transportation, that scheduling barrier that can sometimes occur. So we're very proud of our dual enrollment progress. Again, it's a boom. So since 2015, ACCS has seen a 65% increase in dual enrollment. I know when I wrote my proposal, I put 59%. We have another year on board now. So 65% increase since 2015. 2015 is significant because that will be the first year for legislated funding. In the current semester, our colleges are serving over 20,000 students in dual enrollment. And now that's this spring semester. These students represent 28% of our system's headcount. Dual enrollment instruction has produced over 89,000 credit hours, which represents 14% of the credit hour production. So when you look at the difference between percent headcount and percent credit hour production, the reason why those are not comparable is obviously because dual enrollment students are not taking that full load. Although our system does not limit the number of hours the students can take through dual enrollment, nor do we set lifetime limits as some of the four-year institutions do in their dual enrollment programs. We do, however, always, of course, advise that our students are taking an academically healthy and sound course load. So that's a big part of that. It's a lot of part of our responsibility in making sure that we're putting students that are going to be successful and setting them up for success. So this is pretty simple, but what I wanted to show you was the proportion of students taking dual enrollment through the two-year system, through the Alabama Community College System versus the four-year. So we do see that 4 years are interested in dual enrollment, but I truly believe that we have a great talent for working with this particular group of students. We are very uniquely situated, not only because of the access, but just because of the experience of a community college. So that's just a representation of what that proportion of service looks like. And this is, you'll see for fall 28 through summer 22. And again, just to show you what this boom looks like over time, that red line is representing that boom in dual enrollment. And you'll see, especially since 2020, it has really grown. First-time freshmen, as a side note, have also increased, although not at the same rate as dual enrollment. But ACCS did enroll over 21,000 first-time freshmen last year, and we are currently seeing a nearly 21% increase in freshman applications for fall 2023. So just again, be proud of Alabama. These are the types of awards that our dual enrollment students can work for. So this is that most impactful aspect of dual enrollment, is the student success story. So it is graduation season. We're gearing up here to go out and be a part of all these 24 different graduation experiences throughout the state with our colleges. And if you attend one of those, you will more than likely see a dual enrollment student walking across the stage to receive an award. Dual enrollment students are earning credit towards the completion of awards you see here, from anywhere from an associate's degree to the long and short-term certificates that are so important to providing a strong Alabama workforce. It is not uncommon for dual enrollment students to earn their college degree and walk across the stage before they go to their high school graduation. It is so fun to talk to them and find out, well, today I'm wearing my cap and gown for the college, and on Friday I'm going to be wearing my high school cap and gown. So it's really fun to see. It's really fun to see it announced. I think one of my favorites was at Northwest Shoals. One of our high schools sent their cheer squad, and when students from their high school walked across, as dual enrollment students receiving an award, they got up and cheered, and I just loved that encouragement. Okay, so the number of awards earned by students is also increasing over time. So you can see here that in the 2021-2022 academic year, dual enrollment students earned 697 awards, and that could be any of those that we just referred to. Many of our high school partners are seeing the incredible achievement is possible and are coordinating with our colleges to structure the partnerships to support students reaching those type of awards. We also have several school systems that add additional support and funding for ensuring that students are able to earn degrees while in high school. So we've got great, not just school partnerships, but community partnerships that are seeing what these high school students can achieve while still in high school. We're also quite intentional about avoiding what has been coined, I love this term, random acts of dual enrollment. So we don't want kids just taking a class here or there. I was very surprised when I planned my daughter's dual enrollment experience. I had to map it out over several years, and found that if she starts at the community college, she earns an award, moves on to, she wants to go to Auburn. I was very surprised at what was not part of her core through her program. So we want to make sure that these students are earning, are taking courses that are moving towards a meaningful path. These students are very successful in dual enrollment coursework. These averages represent the percentage of students that earned college credit. This again is fall 21 through summer 22. Again, you can see improvement over the years. Our colleges do a great job of ensuring that students are prepared to take on these classes and are advised of the risks of college coursework. So that is part of it. A lot of times with high school, there's forgiveness and there's a lot more support. Well, these are college students. Once they enter the dual enrollment, they are college students. So they have to understand that along with that reward of college credit is also that risk. So our colleges are making sure that they understand that those grades affect their college GPA, not just their high school GPA, that transcript is going to follow them as they transfer to future institutions, and that they must make that satisfactory academic progress to protect their future financial aid eligibility. As a system, we are also very intentional about monitoring waiver requests for eligibility criteria to ensure that all of our programs are being managed appropriately. So in a minute, we'll talk about some of the eligibility requirements for dual enrollment in ACCS, but we are very flexible and very intentional about being inclusive to different populations. One of the great benefits of dual enrollment is that first generation and underserved populations tend to experience success in dual enrollment. Research has shown time and time again that there are marginalized, underserved minority populations out there. When they take dual enrollment, they do well, they flourish. And it's amazing to see that. But unfortunately, what research also shows is they don't have access or they don't have awareness of those opportunities. So I'm very excited that once we get these students in, once we are intentional, and I think Alabama is doing a great job of coordinating those efforts, once they get into the program, they are successful. And we all know what happens when you feel success, you move forward. And so when these students are successful, it's encouraging them to continue on with post-secondary education after high school, whereas they may not have had that confidence, they may not have had the support or even the motivation to attempt college otherwise. So another degree of success for us is looking at transfer. So Alabama Community College support a variety of pathways to success. One of those is by offering the first 2 years towards a bachelor's degree of instruction to students who then are going to go on to transfer to four-year universities. We have a wonderful partnership with Alabama Transfers. It's formerly known as the STARS program. STARS stood for the Statewide Transfer and Articulation Reporting System, and it allows public two-year students in Alabama to obtain a guide or an agreement that is specific to them for the major of their choice, if they follow it correctly. So that's the caveat. These students have a legal guarantee that those credits will transfer to the institution of their choice. We see this as a valuable on-ramp for these students as they benefit from the intimate classroom experience of the community college, that cost savings of the community college, whether again it's through the scholarship, dual enrollment scholarship, or just through our reduced tuition, and the accessibility of starting there near home. But then they can transfer on. And as a system, we are currently promoting additional strategies for student usage of the Alabama Transfers program. So you'll see we've kind of, we have a bit of a bell curve there, but we are trying to encourage that. But also remember that this also represents students that are going to stay with us, that are going to complete an award, and that they're going to move directly into the workforce. So again, there's multiple pathways, but as you can see, we are a big part of moving students towards that four-year degree as well. So this is where the money comes in. So this is probably the greatest strength of the Alabama Dual Enrollment Program, is that support from legislated funding. These appropriations are dispersed by the Alabama Community College System to the colleges. As you can see, there's almost perfect correlation in the increase in funds and the increase in dual enrollment headcount. Other states have used some very interesting methods for trying to financially support dual enrollment. And what I found in my research is that it was affecting the relationship between the colleges and the high school. And we don't need that. We definitely want to be part of this vertical alignment all the way from kindergarten all the way to industry. We want to make sure that we're coordinating together, and others are just struggling to figure out how to fund it. So I believe that the unique structure that Alabama has, that coordinated two-year system, and that we're able to use that as a way to allocate and disperse these funds. And that makes Alabama a model for dual enrollment. And again, I'm just so proud that there's so many things that I can boast about Alabama. So the way that works for us, $26 million was allocated for dual enrollment scholarships for the 2023 fiscal year. Again, that money is going to come to ACCS, and then it's dispersed out through a competitive grant process. So our colleges apply for that grant. It's managed through our workforce development division, because again, we know that educated and trained students make a strong Alabama workforce. Priority is placed on CTE education and STEM. And those allocations, those annual allocations, also depend on the credit hour production of the college, and as well as the size of the population. So we want to make sure that we are very careful in making sure those funds are going where they're needed, where they're being used most efficiently. Our colleges have a demand for dual enrollment that exceeds the funds, and so they're able to determine how best to serve the maximum number of students with their allocation. So for example, it may be that particular CTE programs that are relevant to that workforce region are fully funded, and that say general study courses are 50% off at, for example, Jefferson State. And so they're able to use those funds however they know, however they can best support their community. But those are the kind of things that we look at from the system office before we disperse those out. I do want to make sure that you understand, though, that this is a dual enrollment scholarship, but it is not the type of scholarship as in a student has to go pick up a scholarship application, submit the application and wait for an award. It is not, that is not where the competition is, or I say competition, but the students, these funds are awarded to the student already. So the question there is, how did Alabama achieve this dual enrollment boom? So this is how we'll look at it. First of all, it's that supportive funding from the Alabama legislature. Alabama is ensuring that students, regardless of economic status, are able to take dual enrollment courses, because that is nationally, that's the key. Where does the money come from? Secondly, I believe that the Alabama community colleges are specially designed to support students from various academic backgrounds. My background as a K-12 classroom teacher is that all students are not the same. All students we cannot define success for students in the same way. We know that students have different talents. They have different modes of learning. And I think that the community college does an exceptional job of acknowledging that and supporting that. And so our policy represents that as well. So, so you'll see that ACCS institutions, we do have a standard GPA eligibility requirement of a 2.5. However, we recognize that some programs, the students that are going to be successful in this may not have had the same academic success. And so for some of our technical programs, that GPA is actually a 2.0. We also allow students to take CTE courses or general study courses. Health sciences sometimes is mentioned outside of CTE. We support STEM. So students can take a wide variety of courses that may not be offered at some of those four-year institutions in the dual enrollment program. So, welding is incredibly popular. We have just some amazing experiences out there and training for students that are going to put them in those high demand, high wage jobs. Another way that Alabama is innovating is the use of multiple measures of placement. So what we see sometimes outside of our system is that students they just can't meet certain benchmarks, and it becomes a barrier. It's a stopgap for them that they can't move past. But we have multiple measures. Again, yay, Alabama, we're leading the charge. We're at the forefront there. And then also our students can begin taking dual enrollment as early as the summer of their 9th grade year. So they could potentially have 3 full years of participation in dual enrollment. So if you think back to those semester credit hour needs for those awards, that's how these students are able to get that in. So going back to those multiple measures, not all students have that qualifying ACT score. And so, what does that mean? Does that mean they're prohibited from moving forward with post-secondary education? That would be a horrible and insurmountable barrier for some students. But what we have is also students can use a combination of the ACT subscore along with their grade in the high school course. So maybe we have evidence that they do well in the course, even though they didn't test well in the ACT. We can put those two together. Also, we use a test, Accuplacer. test. And that has an interesting matrix that will help, it will assess students' understanding and then place them where they need their starting point. And that one is commonly used for dual enrollment, because if you think about it, if I'm starting the summer of my 9th grade year, I don't have an ACT score yet. And so the AccuPlacer is very common for our dual enrollment students. So in the last year, one of the things that we did is we wanted to assess how our dual enrollment program was working, how our procedures, how effective and efficient were they. And so I just kind of want to share this with you so that you understand how we're working together. So we had two focus groups. So we brought representatives from our colleges, from those 22 colleges in, and we talked to them, what's working, what's not working, what would you like to see? And we did the same thing in a separate group with our K-12 partners. And that was everywhere from individuals from the State Department of Education to counselors, to central office personnel, and we asked them the same questions. How can we serve you better? What are we doing? What kind of barriers are you experiencing? We took all of that information and we formed an ad hoc committee. And again, so what we did is we tried to retain some of the knowledge from each of those groups. So we moved a couple individuals from those focus groups up into this committee. We invited some additional representatives, again, from the State Department of Education, from K-12 education. We had a college president there. And so again, looked at that procedure that we have here in ACCS. We took that, we revised our procedure, and we moved that forward to the ACCS Dual Enrollment Task Force. So that's a standing committee that's here inside the system office. And we made sure that everything worked out there and then moved that forward to the chancellor's approval, and that was approved. So we continue, let's see, make sure I didn't get out of order here. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Okay, so we continue our work here. Recently, these are some of the things that you may have seen recently. First of all, we've removed the ID requirement. So again, we're very intentional about looking about what are we doing, how are we affecting the populations that we want to serve. And we found that the ID requirement was not consistent with the 4-year institutions in Alabama. So we removed that requirement. That was especially a barrier for our younger students because they may not have driver's license. And I don't know if you all are aware of this current trend, but young people are delaying getting driver's license. I was chomping at the bit to get one. I mean, it was, hey, it's my birthday, I was born today, let's go. But students are not that way anymore. So I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but that was kind of shocking to me. We also responded to feedback from our high school partners by working to simplify our enrollment paperwork. I wanted to make sure we're only asking for as little as we need. We don't need to make that a cumbersome process. And young people are not particularly great at getting paperwork back. So we needed to make sure that that was simple. We wanted that experience to be as painless as possible for our high school counselors, because ACCS, we love our high school counselors. They are huge partners for us. We're also very intentional in communicating and cooperating with our partners at the Alabama State Department of Education and in the local school systems. That open communication and that vertical alignment is what I refer to it, is important for our dual enrollment program success. One of those coordinating activities is continually adding courses to the dual enrollment catalog to respond to the needs and the requests of our high schools. So what programs do they want to see? What programs are their students asking for? But also, what do their communities need? So what workforce needs are there, and how can we get these students started as early as possible? ACCS dual enrollment does support students in taking co-requisites. Again, this is another one of those things where I'm a student, I've hit a barrier, it just seems insurmountable. I'm going to stop out, I'm done, I can't do it. But co-requisites are another way to encourage students to move along. Instead of that student stalling out because they can't quite move forward to, say, that next math class, we can support them with that additional co-requisite, couple that with that course, and get them moving forward with that additional support. So dual enrollment, they can take co-requisite courses in dual enrollment. Although we are a coordinated system, we are mindful of the unique populations that each of our colleges serve. Therefore, as we review the dual enrollment procedure, as I mentioned in that process and that chart a moment ago, we are intentional in making sure that ACCS procedures are supportive and not restrictive to our colleges. So we made sure as we went through there that there was not anything that was cumbersome on our part that was unnecessary. Again, we do have a waiver process. That's one of those ways that we support flexibility, such as assessing if it's appropriate to lower a GPA of a CTE course, or if an exceptional group of students is coming through that needs some additional access. We have simplified our internal process for transcripts as well. We found that our previous procedures were causing delays in our students transferring or even applying for scholarships. And we don't want to be a part of that. We want to be a part of their success story. And so we made sure that we were not holding them up there. So these are just a few of our recent efforts to remove barriers to dual enrollment that have contributed to that dual enrollment boom. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Kelly Birchfield. She is our ACCS Director of Organizational Research and Effectiveness. And so all of these wonderful numbers that I was able to give you today that really validate those reasons why you should be excited about Alabama. She was the one that helped pull those. If I had to rename her, she would probably be Chief Math Magician is probably the title that I would give her. So she is wonderful. So I thank her as well. So if you all have any questions, I guess this will be the time to move forward with that.
And Tessa, we have a couple questions, I
Okay.
think 3 in the chat right now.
Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see. We are working on, and I actually just went to the, I think it was the Achieve conference with STARS. So yes, so we can put you in contact with the person that you need for that. So Ms. Thomas, I'm not sure what organization you're with, but I can certainly help you connect with them as well. And so again, they're going through a rebranding. So STARS is now Alabama Transfers. So let me back up so that you can, when you type in Alabama Transfers, what comes up is a lot of University of Alabama athletic stories. So let me make sure that when you see this logo, you have found the appropriate site. But I'd be happy to help you connect if you just want to send me an email. Is the removal of the ID requirements only for dual enrollment students? No, it is not. And again, what we found was we had requirements that the 4 years didn't have. So IDs may still be required. They are required for testing. They may be required for other parts, but not to getting the student admitted. Does ACCS offer free dual enrollment for students in some instances, or is that only handled through scholarship? So depending on how the college uses their funds I'll give you an example. So for my daughter will be starting dual enrollment in the fall as a 10th grader. She will be going to Trenum. She'll be taking online classes, and the classes that she takes are covered under their approved funding list. So she will be able to take these classes free. If we had been in Jefferson States, let's say if she wanted to take English along with the CTE course, we may have had to have paid half of that English course and maybe all of that dual enrollment course. So those arrangements are made at the college level, again, because they've got to figure out based on how big their population is, based on their needs. So yes, some students take dual enrollment classes completely free. So if you think about that $26 million, that's $26 million that families parents, students are not having to pay out of pocket for college credit, and that's amazing. Is there funding for technology Jeff State used to the dual enrollment scholarships can be used for materials, but again, that just depends on that college. So that just may have been something that Jeff State was able to do. I will also say this, what I've heard is that a lot of the COVID funds that were coming out, unfortunately, that funding is over with. So there were a lot of purchases that were able to be made under those COVID funds that are no longer there now. So that may be actually what you were seeing there. Okay. All right. So I see one here about, has ACCS dispersed funds for the 23-24 school year yet? So I will say this, I am more of a policy person, and that scholarship is managed through our workforce division. So I'd have to put you in touch with them, Ms. Hayes. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Robin McGill has dropped the Alabama Transfers website in there. Thank you for that. And I think they actually have some training videos on there. Robin, maybe you can respond if you can confirm that.
Yeah, I think they are developing those on the training videos for Alabama transfers, but I'm taking notes and I'm going to talk to Keith Sessions and tell him that we need to get some training into the K-12 districts on using the STARS guides. So thanks for that suggestion, Ms. Thomas.
Yeah, and they are also, I will say this, it looks wonderful. The rebranding looks great. They are not done. From what I understand, they are continuing to develop and expand those, and the communication that's occurring to kind of follow up and come behind these students and encourage them to move along in these processes and these pathways. So I'm very excited about where Alabama Transfers is going in the future. And I think it's very important that although dual enrollment students are there in their initial part of this post-secondary pursuit, we need to start them there. So every credit that they're earning, every dollar that is spent, every minute that they're applying, and all their efforts are going along a pathway to where their end result is. So we don't need to wait till our students are leaving the community college. We are being very intentional about developing ways to get them started with those Alabama transfer guides if that's the path they want to take. Let's see, let me go back here. Okay, percent of award earners who transfer to a four. So this is in that year. That's how many of those dual enrollments. And I'm not sure, I'm sorry, Paulette, I may not be understanding your question, but I will be happy if you want to reach out to me, we can discuss that, and I'll even get the wonderful Kelly Birchfield involved if you want to dive a little deeper than that. All right, let's see. Hopefully I'm getting close.
And Tessa, I think we have time for maybe one more question.
All right, let me see if I can read through this one. Yes, I'm sorry. We all agree with you. The fiscal year and academic year, those are, it's very difficult to align those. So I'm sorry that we can't get that information out sooner. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, I just thank you all so much for attending. Again, I just hope that you found lots of reasons to be proud of Alabama. Every time I do more research into dual enrollment, I go, man, we're doing that. And so we are leading the way on that. And I just wish we could get a little bit more recognition, because it's just so wonderful to hear us leading a charge and being on the forefront. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Tessa and the Alabama Community College System, for this session.